There are 4 alternate ways of entering chords into the Band-in-a-Box chord sheet. The first one is entering chords from a MIDI keyboard. Now with a MIDI keyboard controller or guitar controller hooked up, you play chords, and we can capture those chords one of 2 ways. From under the MIDI menu, we can use the command insert current MIDI chord over here, or we can use the shortcut control return, which is a lot easier. It's a lot more intuitive to just hit a keyboard command after each chord. So for example, I'll place the highlighted area there and I'll hit a chord. I just played an F6 and now I'll hit control return and there it is. Let's try another one. Control return, B flat over A. Let's try one more. Control return, and there are our chords, and we'll play it back, of course, in whatever style we have loaded in. I'll hit control spacebar to play it, and counting it off. Now, we haven't looked much at the notion of styles. We're playing back in a style that's loaded in, and you can load in various styles using the style picker. We're going to look at it in more detail in another video, but just to give you a little example, there's a variety of categories and different styles within each category, but for the next example I'm going to show you, let's switch styles. I'm going to go to R&B Soul, and I'll choose something, maybe Soul Funk, and I'll go OK. And it's going to change now the instruments and the style in which the part is going to be generated. So right away with those same chords, here it is. Alright, so let's delete these chords and we'll look at the next chord entry method, and that's using the ChordBuilder. And we can get to that one of 2 ways, or one of 3 ways actually. We can get to it from the user menu over here, and we can choose ChordBuilder. And I'll just hit cancel. The other way is we can use Control-Shift-H. And the final way is to just use the button over here. All of them will bring up the same ChordBuilder window. So the idea is that we can select a bass note. We can have none if we want, or a bass note. And it's going to audition each chord, by the way. So let's say we're going to start on a B flat major 7. We can change the extension or the quality of the chord there, and we have a wide variety of options there as well. We can choose the type of voicing. Let's say I want a closed voicing. We can preview it. We can enter the chord there, and now it moves to the next window over here, or the next field. And let's say here I want to put something maybe over a G bass. I'm going to go A flat major. I'll go enter chord, and there we go. And it keeps moving like that. So the idea that you select your bass note, your root, and the quality of the chord. Let's say a G9. This one in an open voicing, etc. And hit close when you're done. So now I can play back the chords that I've entered this way in the current style. And it's generating it right now. So just an example. Now the next way of getting chords into the chord sheet is by importing from a MIDI file, and that's why I called it this style. I'm going to import a MIDI file that I downloaded online of the old Aretha Franklin song called Respect, that you probably all know. So to do this, we can get to it from the File menu, and we can go to Import Chords from MIDI File over here, or we can use the shortcut, which is Control-Option-I. So it brings up a window here. And first thing we need to do is select the file in this Open Change window, and I have it over here. Aretha Franklin Respect. I'm going to double click that, and it's prompting me about the key signature. I'm going to go OK. And there are various settings. We can import the chords, import melody. We can import continuous controller, patch change messages. You may or may not want these. We can all enable them all selectively if you want. Different styles, pop chords with sevenths, no sevenths, whatever. I'm going to just leave things at the default now. And we have 2 basic broad categories of how it's going to interpret the MIDI file in a jazz style or a pop style. And I'll do that. And I'm going to go interpret chords now. And it's basically analyzing the file. And there it's calculated these chords and entered them in. And we can hit play. And let's listen with this currently loaded style. It's calculating right now, and then there'll be a 2-bar count in. So it does a pretty good job of reading all those parts from the MIDI file, and of course we can then play different styles back and see how it works. Let's try a different style. I'm going to go to another category, maybe funk, and let's see, but maybe this one over here, jazz pop rhythm section. And we can double click and audition it, and it'll play back. So it gives you a sample of what that style feels like. So now it's loading in this style of how it's going to interpret these chords with the instruments here. Let's play from here. So different styles playing back imported MIDI files. Now the last way of bringing chords in is to use the Audio Chord Wizard and actually import from an audio file. And we can get to it one of two ways. Under Windows, we can go Run Audio Chord Wizard, and we need to select an audio file, or we can use the Audio Chord Wizard button here. And no, I'm not going to save changes to this song. And I have an MP3 file of Holiday by Madonna, so I'm going to click Choose, and it's going to go through a long, or relatively long, interpretation of the audio content on this MP3 file in this Audio Chord Wizard window. It's analyzing the file, it's looking for tempo, it's looking for beats, it's looking for chords, looking for bars. It's doing the tempo mapping now. And it's going to come up with a pretty good approximation. And once we get this window done like we do here, we need to audition it and we need to identify where bar 1 is going to be. So let's listen a little bit. So it sounds pretty good. Let's hit stop. So I think around here is where the downbeat starts. So if I go there and I'll go set bar 1, that should work nicely. So that's great. So we've set that, and we can fine-tune some of the parameters here if it's a different time signature or key or whatever, and we can view as notation display like that in bars in a graphic display or the chord sheet. And when we're done, we go, OK, send to band in a box, and it's bringing it all in. It's analyzing the chords for the whole song, and we're going to bring this into band in a box, and it'll then play back in whatever style we have selected in band in a box. And of course we can switch styles and play it back various ways. All this being drawn from the actual recording. Let's click yes. I'm not going to save changes, and there we go. There's our imported song from the MP3 that we can play back in the current style. So those are some alternate methods of getting chords into band in a box, and I'll see you for more in the next video.